This episode is brought to you by Merrill. Join one of the most iconic names in wealth management, Merrill. You'll be part of a dynamic team of advisors and specialists working hard every day to grow their clients' wealth. And with the support of best-in-class research, advanced digital tools, and the resources of a global institution, it's truly an opportunity you can be bullish about. Learn more at careers.bankofamerica.com. Copyright 2024, Bank of America Corporation.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I've got a fantastic guest for you today coming out of Austin, Texas, Michael Morgan, and he is a author and motivational speaker. I'm really happy to have him. He's had a variety of experiences helping clients in the corporate world, from financial, oil and gas, technology, retail, and I'm really happy to have him on to talk about networking and influence from careers, and it'll be a great, inspiring conversation for the audience. So, Michael, welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Yeah. Briefly introduce yourself, and we will dive right into the questions.
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Michael Morgan. I have a vast amount of experiences through my work career. I've worked for Amazon, Walmart, JP Morgan, Chevron. For the different jobs I've worked for, I've worked in Delaware, in California, in Washington, in Texas. So I've lived a lot of different places, worked for some great companies, different industries. I've taken my work experiences and it's culminated into me writing my first book called The Power of Networking, which is available on all platforms. So the paperback, the ebook, the audiobook's available on all platforms. So now I am a published author. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, I really love that. And a lot of our audience and a lot of the guests that come onto the show, they're very accomplished in their fields, and then they parlay it into influence, which we're going to talk about today. And so the first thing is talking about is this transition from you're a successful corporate and B2C, B2B as well. And now you're translating that into writing and speaking. Talk to that transition and that mindset shift, because a lot of people, they want to have a successful career, but now we're talking into influence and making an impact and helping others, impacting many.
Yes, absolutely. Throughout my career, different people have reached out to me, whether they're directly within my network or it's 6 degrees separation, someone that I know, someone that ends up reaching out to me, or it could be a complete stranger. I've had a lot of random people just reach out to me on LinkedIn. They look through my profile, they've seen my experiences, they want to ask me questions, how I was able to transition and move between different industries, how I was able to get an interview with Amazon, how I was able to be successful. So at a certain point in time, I started to realize that I had a wealth of knowledge that people were looking for. And I enjoy helping other people. I enjoy giving back. I only have so much time in the day, and it's hard for me to have one-on-one meetings with everybody and have phone calls and Zoom calls. So I decided to put pen to paper and write down a lot of my knowledge and be able to put it into a book so it can get out to masses. And then now I'm doing all these public speaking engagements for companies, for universities, for organizations, so I can share my knowledge with a greater audience as opposed to on a one-on-one basis. But in my opinion, I wouldn't be where I am in my career if it wasn't for the help of others. Other people mentored me and guided me and gave me all these different tidbits to help me be successful. So now this is my way to pay it forward. And now that I've been through a lot of work experiences and I have a lot of knowledge myself, now I feel like I can bestow that same knowledge onto other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, really fascinating. And so one thing that I have questions for, hopefully to benefit the audience, is talking about effective influence in the workplace. And what advice do you have for improving one's ability to influence others professionally? And do you have to, I've seen a lot of people do what you do. They build a successful career, they build a personal brand, and then they parlay it into into social media or, speaking, this type of greater influence. Do you have to go that route? Or because I know some people, they just start off and they don't build a career and they just go and they try to make it on social media. Talk about the differences.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as influence, so one of the biggest things that I'll always discuss with influence is there's two things. One is important to build that network. So when I'm influencing people, I'm not focused on one particular team. I'm looking at the greater organization. So as an example, I work in strategy and supply chain operations, but I work closely with legal. I work closely with finance. I work with product management. I work with engineering. And I've built relationships across so many different teams because we all have to work together towards a common goal for whatever project, initiative, deliverable that we're working on. And because I've built that network, I can meet with those different people and get them on my side and get them to buy into my ideas. So first and foremost, you have to be able to network. You have to know who the players are that you have to convince and influence. Secondly, I'm a big fan of diversity of thought. I've been in situations early in my career where I came in and I thought I had all these great ideas and I would pitch different things, but I didn't speak to everybody. And it's important to get different perspectives because the way that I may thinking about something from a supply chain operation standpoint may be different than someone in finance, may be different from someone in product management. So making sure that I'm touching base with different people, getting all of their thoughts and ideas, that's what helps you get to the best possible solution. And not only does that help you get to the best possible solution, teams are more willing to buy in on your idea if they're a part of the decision making, as opposed to you just coming up with an idea yourself and trying to tell other teams what to do. You want to make sure that everyone is included. So those are very critical when it comes to influence. And then your communication itself has to be on point. And this could be communication like when you're talking in a meeting. This can be through email. Some companies are PowerPoint heavy. Some companies are more focused on paper writing. But whatever that means of communication is, you have to be succinct. You have to have the data to support it. There's so many times where I hear people say, oh, we should do this and we should do that. And they have no data behind what they're saying. And it hurts their credibility. Data speaks volumes. If you're going to make a recommendation or provide a solution, you need to have the numbers to justify that as the path forward. So these are all different ways that you can make a bigger impact when it comes to influencing. To your second question, I've had an extensive work career and I've used those work experience to lead me down this path where now I'm an author and I'm a motivational speaker. And I know there are some people who just go right into being an author and speaker. I would say, in my opinion, it's good to have my work experience as a background. I'm not just speaking it, I've lived it. I've worked on global projects initiatives for the biggest tech company in the world, the biggest retail company in the world, the biggest financial services company in the world, the biggest oil and gas company in the world. I've made an impact for all these companies. I've generated millions of dollars in revenue. I've saved millions of dollars in cost savings. I've reduced cycle time by 90% in different processes. So I've been able to influence people on different ideas that I've had and be able to execute them that it wasn't necessarily within my realm of responsibility, but I identified a problem. I brought it up to leadership and I influenced the organization to move forward with my idea and I led that initiative. So for me, it just gives me more credibility when I speak to people and they can connect, they can resonate with the things that I'm saying, because I'm not just giving advice, I'm incorporating my own personal stories. So for me, I think it's more impactful that I've had the work experience and I did that before getting into this realm of public speaking.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first, like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary. and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Yeah. And Taco, because you mentioned the power of networking and expanding upon that, a lot of people don't really realize how powerful it is, and especially with these social media networks. And talk about just what strategies you've used to network and build and maintain. What are your best tips for professionals looking to build a strong network in today's digital age?
Yes, I would say first and foremost, you have to put yourself out there. And trust me, I understand. I know some people are more intrinsic, some people are more extrinsic. But if you don't put yourself out there and put yourself in situations where you can meet new people and build connections, it's just really hard for you to expand your network. So within your company, most companies have employee resource groups. So there'll be a Black employee network, there'll be a women's network, there'll be a Hispanic network. Put yourself in situations where you may join these groups, attend these different events. These are opportunities for you to meet new people. Or even if you don't join these groups, if you're in a work meeting and you identify someone that you don't personally know, you can reach out to them and say, hey, I'd love to grab coffee with you. I'd love to grab lunch with you. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your role or learn more about your background, see how we can work better together. So there's little things that you can do within your company to build your network. Outside your company, there are so many organizations that are function specific, industry specific, or even just hobby specific. So as an example, when I worked in oil and gas, I joined external organizations. One was called Young Professionals in Energy, and one was called African Americans in Energy. So there are different organizations where I can meet other individuals in the same industry, and we can help each other. We can learn from one another. I can stay up to date on industry trends. And this is a great way for me to expand my network. A lot of the roles that I've had have been incorporated project management, program management. So I joined the Project Management Institute. That's a function-specific organization, and that's helped me expand my network. So there's so many different, even think of something as simple as just working out, going to the gym. I've met so many people at my gym. I've run races. I've joined running groups. So you can do things that are hobby specific. They don't have to be specific for your job, your industry, but putting yourself in these situations where you can meet new people that are like-minded, where you can help one another, that is critical. That's the first step. That's how you build a network. To me, the most critical aspect, once you meet these connections, is maintaining that connection. So what I see so many times is people will make a new connection, whether it's through work, whether it's through an organization, or even going to conferences. I think conferences is a great way to expand your network as well. But they'll meet them one time and they won't talk to them again for 4 years, 5 years. And then all of a sudden they're looking for a job. They see, oh, they work at the company I want to work for. Let me reach out to them. That is terrible networking. You've essentially burnt your bridge where you made a connection and didn't talk to them for 5 years. And the first time you reach out to them, you're reaching out to them when you need something. You're rubbing people the wrong way.
Yeah.
So if I make a connection with someone, I'm making sure, and every connection is different. Some people I may speak to weekly. Some people I may speak to monthly. Some people I'll speak to quarterly. But I'm trying to regularly touch base with people, and I'm trying to understand what value can I add to them.
Mhm.
Networking is give to get, and I emphasize the give. And it could be simple. Maybe I can recommend a book for them to read. Maybe I could recommend an article. Maybe I could recommend an organization for them to join, or these little tidbits. Or, hey, say they're interested in working at the company that I work at, I can refer them. I can give them insight on the interview process within the company. There's so many different things that you can offer, and then just regularly just reach out every once in a while. There's little things. I leverage LinkedIn all the time. And if I see on LinkedIn, someone in my network just started a new job, or they just received a new certification, I look at it as an opportunity for me to reconnect with that person. So instead of me just putting a comment on their the note on LinkedIn saying, oh, congratulations, I might send them a message like, hey, it's been a long time. I see you just started in your new job. I'm so happy for you. I'd love to reconnect. Do you have some time in the next 2 weeks for us to speak on the phone for 30 minutes? And I'll set up a Zoom call. I'll set up a phone call. But this is a way for me to reconnect and speak with them and catch up and see how they're doing in their career, how they're doing in their personal life, as opposed to just writing a note on a post on LinkedIn. That's not staying connected. And to me, nothing replaces that face-to-face interaction. If whenever possible, if you can meet up in person, grab coffee, grab lunch, grab dinner, I think that's the best way to maintain relationships. But leverage technology. You can do phone calls, you can do Zoom calls, and that way you can stay connected with people over time.
Yeah. And in today's age, because with networking is really beneficial. And like, for example, I'll find time during just like noon or just at the where your most important tasks are out of the way, and just you can make better use of your energy and your time. So how do you best schedule networking? Is it like early in the morning? Is it, looking at your energy levels? And then also because you mentioned technology and like, for example, phone, Zoom, and social media is so powerful. Do you really need in-person networking? Because now people are just networking just through these networks.
Yeah. So for me, I network throughout the day. So I personally don't set time in like morning, afternoon, evening. So the tough thing for me, I live in Texas. I live in Austin. I have some of my network is on the East Coast. Some of my network is on the West Coast. Some of my network is international. Yeah. So there may be times where I may wake up early to have a call with someone that I know that's in Europe or some other location. There may be some late calls that I'll have in the evenings where someone on the West Coast, where they may not get off of work until 5, 6, and that's 7, 8 o'clock my time. So I don't set like a specific time in the day. I just try to accommodate and try to understand what location the person is that I'm speaking with.
Yeah.
And then I agree. I think technology is fantastic. And because of it, we don't need to meet face to face as much as previously. Yeah. But to me, there's still nothing to me that can replace that face interaction. Like being face to face with someone in a restaurant, in a coffee shop, or just like going for a walk, like just little things where you can just really connect and have that face-to-face interaction. I think technology is fantastic, but in my opinion, nothing will replace that face-to-face interaction.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason why I ask is I know a lot of my colleagues, they have families and quite busy lives, and to go into these events is quite taxing, but still it's quite important. So I know that some of them, they'll just like their noon time, they'll just, while they're eating, they'll talk to people, or just like at the end of the day when their just energy is lower, where they can have that social interaction, they rejuvenate. Or some people, they even, during the workout, they'll conduct a meeting too. This is very interesting to see. The other question I have for you is, or coming to the end, is with your background, is you talked about mentorship and sponsorship, and you talked about finding people to cultivate relationships with mentors or sponsors to advance their career. What are your tips or guidelines around this area? Because you find a great mentor, they can take you to a lot of places, but how do you nurture that relationship?
Yeah, of course. So first and foremost, if your company or if you're part of an organization that offers a mentorship program, I strongly recommend that you apply. A lot of companies have structured programs where you fill out a profile, and based off the profile of what your strengths are, what your areas of opportunity, what your interests are, they'll automatically match you with someone, which takes the work off of your plate, where it doesn't matter whether you're extrinsic, intrinsic, they do the work for you to match you up with someone. So if that's available, definitely take advantage. Like I said, some external organizations, they provide that as well. And then I would also say, if you feel comfortable, I would strongly recommend that you organically try to find mentors on your own as well. There have been a lot of work situations where I've worked with people that are more senior than me, that have had more experience within the company than me, that have had more experience than me. And I will pull them to the side and I'll ask them like, hey, I really value your input, your thoughts. I know you have a lot of great experience. I don't know what your capacity is, but I would love to have you as a mentor if you're willing to. Do you have the time and capacity to do? And the worst thing they can say is no, but you will never know unless you at least ask. Some of the best mentor relationships that I've had are the organic ones where I've just naturally met someone at work, at school, through an organization, and I've just organically reached out. So I would say those are two different ways, whether it's through a structured program or you on your own, like setting up that mentorship. I think those are critical. Once you obtain a mentor, you need to put in the work. So I've seen so many times where there's a mentor and a mentee, and the mentee is not taking the time to set up meetings. They're not following up on action items. If your mentor gives you advice and says, hey, I think you should work on your public speaking, you should join the organization Toastmasters, or you should take these steps to improve your speaking, and then you meet a month later or 2 months later, and you've done nothing since the last meeting, it's a waste of their time. They're trying to help you. They don't need to take time out of the day to mentor you. So as a mentee, it is your responsibility. I would say you need to set up the meetings. You need to make sure you're following up with the action items. You need to be respectful of this person's time who's trying to help you advance in your career. So that's the best way that you can make sure that you're making the most of the relationship. And those are different mechanisms in order for you to find mentors as well. Sponsors are a little bit more difficult. Sponsors, from what I've seen in my career, you can't just find a sponsor on your own. You have to be selected from your company to be a part of a sponsorship program where they'll provide you with a sponsor. And in order to get into those situations, you have to perform. Mm-hmm. If you're a high performing employee and they see a lot of potential in you, they will provide you with a sponsor to make sure that you're successful and moving up in the company. So sponsor is a little bit different, but it's just as critical to have in your career just as mentors.
Yeah, I love that. And how can people find out more about you and reach out to you? And feel free to mention your book as well. And how can people connect with you?
Yes, absolutely. So I have my own website. It's michaelvmorgan.com. So V is in Victor, Michael V. Morgan. So people can check out my website. I'm on LinkedIn, same thing, Michael Morgan on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram, michael.v.morgan on Instagram. My book is available on all platforms. So if you want, the paperback is on Amazon. If you want the audiobook, you can get that on Spotify. You can get that on Audible. If you want the ebook, it's available on Kindle. It's available on Barnes & Noble. So any platform that you're looking for, any format, it's available. Feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'm here to help. I love helping people. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'd love to speak with you and help you in your career and in your personal life any way that I can.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. Yeah, and for all the audience, let's thank Michael for coming on and giving a great presentation, and keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And like I said, it's been a pleasure being on your podcast today.